Tell us what's going on there, why we got the higher humidity where you are.
Well, first I've got to touch on the fact of talking about taking breaks going inside. So what's yours truly doing? Standing outside by a bunch of
Oh,
corn. But
yes.
I'm not in town, so there's not all that concrete. So it's actually about 5 degrees cooler out here. Luckily, I've got a little breeze. But guys, there's two areas of the country that are traditionally much more humid than the rest of the country. And you ask why? Well, let's talk about the Gulf Coast states. First of all, because their proximity to the Gulf of Mexico, they have more available moisture. And of course, it's pretty swampy down there, literally. It's like in Louisiana. But here in the Corn Belt, not only because of the way moisture is transported from the Gulf of Mexico from south to north, but the other reason is especially this time of year because of all the corn. And there's a fancy term we call evapotranspiration, which basically means I've heard locals call it as corn sweating. Well, because these crops behind me, whether they're just grow through the process of Mother Nature raining, or here in Nebraska where we irrigate, well, there as you get through the day, that especially at night when we cool off and that surface temperature gets closer to the dew point number, it gets even more humid. And then some of that moisture comes out of the corn and goes back out into the atmosphere. That's why you see those higher dew points throughout the corn belt of the nation's midsection, like where I am right now here in Nebraska.
All right, Tim, and you say, it's corn sweat. Can you actually see the droplets of water forming on the leaves of the corn?
Well, not right now, just
Oh.
because even though it's so humid, guys, we're still about 20 degrees, 25 degrees difference between our actual surface temperature here and that dew point. But as I said, as we start to cool off, if I come back here in about 6 hours and we start to cool off and get that surface temperature and cool it down closer to that dew point number, then we'll start to see those quote unquote beads of sweat coming off the corn. So right now it's a little less. And there's a whole principle behind it scientifically that we won't get into beyond that. But you know what? It's just downright humid. And of course, that corn belt really does give more moisture. Now, the other thing we talk about staying safe, you talked about from the human aspect, but we also worry about our family friends, those pets.
We have buckets that we fill with treats and toys that we freeze, and then when they're outside, they can hang them onto the outside of the fence and they can cool off by licking the ice and working towards having treats or a toy when they get to a certain point in the ice cube.
Sound like a good idea,
Yes, it
guys. Not
does.
only for us, we like popsicles.
Right.
We like to freeze our water or have it icy. Why wouldn't our pets like that as well? So, and there's also that livestock concern. Nebraska is a big livestock area. And of course, we see a lot of areas where they put up temporary shade for the animals as well as watering areas. So, not just the humans are being affected by this heat, guys.
All right.